Hello, everyone. It's Lori Williamson from the Minnesota Historical Society coming to you again from my home library. And we want to welcome to another episode of Collections Item of the Week. I'm here with my colleague and friend, Sandra Ryerson, as always from 3D. Hi, Sandra.
Hello, nice to see you.
Good to see you too, as always. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty well. I'm struggling with connection issues, but at least I can work from home.
Well, good. And at least we can see you now, so that's great. So what are we talking about this week?
We've got some office supplies inspired by Lori, and we're spanning some pretty wide date ranges here.
Cool.
So we've the first object up is a lap desk. I'm using one of those right now, but mine looks a little different from this one. I love the inlay on this. Yeah,
it's beautiful.
This is a very fancy piece. Not just anyone would have had a lap desk like this. This is not military issue, but it was used in the 1860s by a military officer, and he worked at the sutler store, so he was recording a lot of supplies coming in and out. So the inside, it folds open, so you have a larger writing surface, and you have storage. It's all kinds of great opportunities for working on your lap.
That's really cool. I mean, it's so fancy though. Is that normal for them to be that gorgeous?
You pretty much you had the lap desk you could afford. So I think that's pretty similar to today, right? You can get some pretty high-end lap desks. The one I'm using has memory foam on the bottom, so I've got a 21st century update on my lap desk. But it's certainly not inlaid with the gorgeous design work on this one.
Wow, that's very cool. All right, so what do we have here?
We're fast forwarding a bit through time. So this is a 1905 chair designed by Gilbert for the state capitol. So this was actually used in the House of Representatives. And the ones that are still in use are original 1905 chairs, except for the feet. So you see that this chair is on casters and it has 4 legs. Well, 4 legs is no longer safe enough.
Well, it's a beautiful piece, though. I love those arms.
Yeah, all that woodwork is pretty phenomenal. It goes really well with everything else. Gilbert.
Yes, Gilbert was very into that, like, matching across the board.
Absolutely. I don't see a lot of lumbar support in this chair, though, and that would be a necessity for me.
Yeah, probably for most people. Oh, wow.
Yeah, everybody needs a phone, right? Ours look a little different today, but I love that growing up, I had a rotary phone, still has a phone in the base. I got to know how to use that, dial a rotary phone. It's always an adventure.
Wow, yeah, that's a pretty extreme. What is the date on this piece? It's so substantial. It just says, it's like such it's such a piece.
So this is mid-century, and this is made of Bakelite. So like everything else mid-century. And I just love it. It's a very solid piece of equipment there. And of course, this is probably after the time when you have the party line in small towns where you had to listen for your particular ringtone in order to know that the call was for you and not your neighbor. And of course, your neighbor could pick up and listen in if they were quiet enough when they clicked on.
I feel like if this was used in a movie, somebody would get whacked in the head with the handle or something, but the receiver.
It's pretty substantial.
Nice. Very cool.
Yeah, we don't really know what hanging up phones means anymore.
Yeah.
We don't have receivers to hang back up.
Yeah.
But then, all right, so we're fast forwarding a little bit more. And here we have a 1980 controlled data computer.
Wow.
And I love this thing because look how far we've come. But also the Twin Cities was a hub for computing, especially in the 50s and 60s. And controlled data came straight out of post-World War II efforts to keep the technological innovation from the wartime continuing on. And the Twin Cities ended up with UNIVAC and controlled data and Honeywell and all kinds of computing firms that were doing really amazing work.
So were we Silicon Valley before Silicon Valley was?
Absolutely, but of course, flyover country. We don't get the credit.
Boo. This is quite an amazing piece, really, when you think about that to what we have today and the differences in the size and everything. It's just amazing. I want to talk about what the name is for this piece again, the computer's name.
Oh, the Plato?
Yeah, I just think that's really funny that they named a computer after a philosopher.
Yes, absolutely. And I'm sure it stood for something because it's in all caps, but I
Right.
haven't dug that deep to find out what it stood for.
Ooh, that would be a fun thing to look into
Hmm.
because we're always learning.
Absolutely. Maybe a researcher could write in on the
Yeah,
comments.
that would be awesome. Or a former employee of Control Data. Mm,
Indeed.
right. Let us know, anybody out there. All right, what do we have next? Oh, okay. So this is a finding aid. I just wanted to, while we're talking about office stuff, get a little plug in for some of our library collections. We've got incredible business records. And we can go to the next one too, please. We have trademark files in our state archives with different businesses had to file. These go back to 1893, I think, and actually go up to the early 2000s. This is just showing you a couple of the catalog records about the trademark files. But we have, but if you look in our library catalog, you'll see a lot more. And if you want to go to the next one, uh, uh, um, this is some of the photo collection. We have a fantastic photo collection from a company called Norton Peele, and they did a lot of commercial photography. And they started because they bought another firm. So their files and photographs go all the way back to the 1880s. 1886, I think, is when the other company started, and then Norton Peele worked there and then bought it. We have 300,000 of them in the collection total. And if you just go to our website, mnhs.org, you can see, and this is another Norton Peele. So that first one, the black and white one, was from 1932, and this is 1969, which is the last year they were in business. I think this is such a funny 60s office too, just like the colors and the giant machines, and that it's pretty great. But anyway, the Norton Peele collection is definitely something to look into. We also have a LibGuide on our library page, and what those are resource guides. So if you're interested in the history of business and industry in the state, you can start with the LibGuides. It's a really good indicator of different collections that we have from different corporations. So it's a lot of fun to play with. And then if you can see our last slide here, yes, this is the home office I talked about last week, and what started this whole thing. Isn't it fancy and beautiful? This is from 1964. We know it's somewhere in Minnesota, but we don't know exactly where. But it's got a fireplace and, the photos and like the sconces on the wall. It's pretty fancy.
I was just thinking one of our home viewers could potentially tell us where that home office was.
That would be awesome. We do love feedback from you guys. So if you have topics you want us to cover or questions you're interested in, please do let us know. And also I want to I mentioned the library collection to dig around on, but also our History at Home page on the MNHS website is a really great resource right now for people who are interested in what we have and what they can use. Sandra, would you like to make a plug for anything?
Oh, we just launched a collecting initiative. So History is Now. We're asking you to submit your stories about your experience with COVID-19 and the pandemic and just how your community or your family is responding. So you can find that on our homepage.
Yes. So please, go there and give us feedback. And thanks a lot for watching, and take care. And we'll see you next week.